Hey guys, my name is Better Brick Studios, and it has been a long time. I know this. Please try to not do the same repetitive comments of, oh, he's back, because I know I'm back. Had a bunch of life troubles, depression and stuff, the usual. Anyways, today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite Transformers of 2021. Now, these are just going to be the ones that I got this year, not the ones that came out this year. Because I didn't get a lot of the figures that came out this year. I mainly focused on collecting older figures like Hunt for the Decepticons Sea Spray. Really good figure. He's going to be on this list. So, anyways, let's get into the list. So, coming in at the number 10 spot is Studio Series Scrapper. I just got this recently. It is a Christmas gift from my dad. Pretty good figure. He has like this big arm here, which has this claw on it, and then this other one with this wrecking ball claw on it. I wish it had a chain like it did in the movie. I really like his head sculpt, and he's got a lot of detail going on everywhere. But with this detail comes a big flaw, because in his vehicle mode, it is just completely messy, covered in robot mode looking detail. So it just comes across as incomplete and not well put together. The robot mode's great, don't get me wrong. But when you get him into vehicle mode, it just looks like something's missing. Like the designers were rushed to get this out. And that's where it really falls flat. If he had a better vehicle mode, he would be a little higher on this list. But as he stands now, he is at the number 10 spot. In the number 9 spot, here we have Deep Cover. As you may be aware, if you watched my video on the top 10 Transformers of 2020, I did, or at least I believe I did, have this guy on the list. Or that may have been earlier, but the point I'm trying to get at here is I already had the same mold before, so that's what really brings this guy down, is I already had the mold. It's nothing against the figure, but I already had the mold, so it wasn't as exciting. But what really brings it up is the really good paint on it, and the way better joint tolerance. Because on Red Alert, his knees got really weak after a while, and you can kind of feel it with this, but it isn't as bad. And I love the silver paint he has on his weapons and in various different places, and the nice shining blue. And here you can actually see through the window, but if you take Red Alert here, you can barely see it. I only found out that was transparent a few months after getting it because of how hard it is to see through. But yeah, this figure is just overall way better done than Red Alert. And it comes with all the accessories you'd want. He's got his shoulder gun. He's got the gun that Red Alert came with. I lost Red Alert's copy of this piece, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, overall it's a pretty decent figure. But I kind of already have it again, so that loses a lot of its excitement. Down here at number 8, here we have a gift from a friend, actually. This is from Megatronus Primal, and it's Rat Trap. He got an extra copy because his was broken, and I was like, hey, could I have the broken one? And he's like, yeah, sure. It's pretty cool. Broken foot kind of brings it down a little bit, but I don't really care because it was free. I really, really love the way he transforms. I could probably just transform him right now. It's very quick, gets to the point, and just very smart. My favorite thing about this figure is just how well they put it together. If they could apply like this kind of genius transformation to maybe some of the bigger figures, we would have a lot better of a competition for the #1 spot on this list. Anyways, legs fold up. Like this. Sometimes things don't tab into place. That's really no big deal, but here we have him in his rat mode. Or mouse mode. I'm not sure what it is, but it's really cool. I love the way it transforms, and it ends up with one of the best beast modes in Kingdom. At the #7 spot, we have another one of my Christmas presents. This time it was from Mom. This is Hunt for the Decepticons Sea Spray. And this is just a really solid figure. It holds together pretty well. Some of the joints are a little bit loose, but that's because this was bought used off of eBay at a really good deal too. Anyways, he's based off of the little mini bot from G1, and he's really big and beefy. They really upgraded this guy. Too bad we never saw him in the movie. Came with 2 of his guns, which are missing his water things, but that doesn't matter. Really like all the sculpting around. The light piping on the head is just amazing. You can really tell that the light's coming through there. His head can move up, rotate. It's got these big fans on the back, which I assume allow him to move really fast in water. And he's got this kind of scuba mask thing going on, which I really like the design of. He turns into a hovercraft in vehicle mode, which can actually hold other cars. Here you can see him holding Ratchet. I didn't have any other guys to demonstrate with that were in vehicle mode right now, but he could hold a pretty decent sized vehicle in the back if you really wanted him to. So overall, it's just really fun, and I like the big chunky parts and like the 2009 aesthetic that this guy gives off. I really like those old 2009 to like 2011 figures. Those are really, really cool. So anyways, this is the #7 spot. It may come as a shock to you, but here is Jolt at the #6 spot from the Studio Series line. I was always kind of hoping that they'd make a Jolt because I really liked his design, and the older toy, I just couldn't find it for a good price online, so I could never really get one. But anyways, they did a really, really good job. He's got his electro whips. They actually replace his thumbs, which are kind of weird, but I'm fine with it. I wish they could have just plugged in underneath there or something, but it's whatever. I really like how he just looks generally, and one of my favorite things about this is if you look at my original Lego Transformer Jolt that I made a long time ago, like a year or 2 ago, this guy mine was actually pretty accurate to this Studio Series representation. And I really like that because most of the time with that, I was just guessing because there wasn't that much concept art or good images to go off of, since he had such a little appearance in the movie. But anyways, this form of Jolt looks really good, and I'm pretty proud to have this top-notch Studio Series in my collection. Here we have 2009 Hunt for the Decepticons Rescue Ratchet. Here he comes in the 5th spot, I believe, the very middle of this list. And it's a suiting place for this figure because while he does have his flaws, like his excessive kibble in some places, he is also really, really cool and jam-packed with details and stuff. I really like his posability. The paint on him looks really good. I'm glad I got this instead of the normal green one. I really like how when you pull this bumper down, actually, it moves these lights up to be in an accurate position. Doesn't have that much head movement, but his arms are just jam-packed with ball joints. And you may think these shoulder things get in the way, but they are on their own ball joints, so if you need to articulate the arms, they always just move out of the way. My main problem with this, though, is these hands, you can't really hold anything with them, but he's got this gun thing which plugs into his arm here, so you don't really need to have him holding anything else. Anyways, this is a really, really good figure. I love the transformation, the vehicle mode, and everything about it is just really, really cool. Now here, at the number 4 spot, is just Generations Cup. Now this is a figure that's always kind of baffled me because I've seen images of it, I've seen stop motions of it, but I can never really understand how the transformation works. And it's really awesome once you get to know it. He also comes with this big rifle, and I really like his aesthetic. He's got plenty of joints in the arms. These arm panels don't get in the way that much. The wheels, all the kibble you see can just move out of the way. He's got these very nice and stiff feet and legs, which really keep him standing compared to some other figures. And you can get some pretty wacky poses out of him if you want. A lot of people complain about the head sculpt, but I've gotten used to it. And I think it's actually a pretty good head sculpt. Relatively speaking, there were some pretty bad ones in Generations, and in a lot of the old movie figures, they just add really weird head sculpts, which kind of is one of the things I don't like about those older figures. But my favorite thing is just how smart and like cool the transformations were. This figure just baffled me when I got him because I wasn't expecting to find him, but when I found him, I was like, yep, I need this because this is an awesome figure, and I recommend it to anybody who's into like older figures. I recommend 100% to get this, or maybe it's Repaint Swerve, because it's just really a lot of fun. So that's why this guy deserves the number 4 spot. In 3rd place and winning a bronze trophy, here we have a new figure, and a tall one at that, Kingdom Ultra Magnus. Now I've seen a lot of people complain about the vehicle mode, but I have an easy fix with these arm pieces, which really kind of fills in the gaps that people hate. I know it's not in vehicle mode, but if you put it in vehicle mode and attach these arm things like this, it does fill in that gap that people don't like. My favorite thing about this is how big it is, and I've always really wanted an Ultra Magnus figure because he feels like a really cool, strong character. And I liked his depiction in the 1986 movie. And this does match the representation you get in the film. I know the bumper on the front of his vehicle is red in the movie, but I do prefer the white one he's got here. And I found a trick to get rid of this bumper piece, actually, because it does get in the way of posing. If you angle this just right, you should be able to slide it off with a little bit of difficulty. And you can set that off to the side if you want. I do have to say, do this at your own risk because it is a fan modification. It can sometimes be unreliable, but that just allows you to bend his knees back further, increase the range of articulation on his legs, and slims him down so he doesn't look too chunky. Anyways, I just really like his robot mode, his vehicle mode, and his character in general, so I was really happy when I was able to afford such a big Ultra Magnus. So that's why this guy takes the 3rd spot on my list. Here comes the Silver Award Dino Box. Basically, everybody I've heard who's reviewed this figure has loved it. I love it. Everyone I've known has loved it. I got this from Megatronus Primal on my birthday, and honestly, it's one of the best presents I've gotten this year. 2nd best figure of the year. And that's just because of how perfect its vehicle mode is. Or not vehicle mode, but dinosaur mode is. Really cleans up. He's got this cool sword, which I really like. He's also got this tail gun thingy. I don't know how that's supposed to work, but it looks cool. Really like his head sculpt, the way the torso comes together. It looked kind of bad in photos and stuff, but when you get to look at it in real life, it is really cool. He doesn't have that much backpack. I thought there would be holes in the side of the torso, but that gets filled in. Everything just moves and fits perfectly. As you can see, he's got the legs. I kind of don't like these open parts at the back, but the only things you can really complain about are small and minute details. He's got plenty of shoulder articulation, rotation everywhere. His arms are so articulated that it's just a blast when you get to posing it, and he looks really stunning on my display. And that's why this guy gets the 2nd spot. Now at this point, you may be thinking, what can top the rest of the magnificent figures on this list? Well, it's none other than Energon Devastator. Yeah, I'm about as surprised as you are. Some of you may never have heard of this thing. Some of you have heard of this thing and are wondering why it looks kind of different. Well, I have customized it a lot to fit my liking. Most of the time there's this guy down here and then one of these up here, but this configuration is what I prefer because you can actually fan mode the arms to be like this so that they actually have like hands and articulation. I modified here by kind of drilling through to make a 5mm port to fit this extra accessory piece that I got from one of these guys. And also, he just looks dope when you look at him. Like, the arms articulate, the joints are all nice and tight, except for the hips here. Those can kind of be loose. So that's mainly because the knees collide often. He's nice and big and chunky. And he just looks really cool when I display him up on my shelf. And he's definitely the highlight of my Transformers display. Now, you may be thinking, well, technically it isn't one figure, and technically you didn't just get it this year. Well, that is true. I did get the torso guy and the leg guy without their accessories last year, but most of this, all the accessories and these 3, I did get this year, and Devastator was only completed this year, and I'm gonna consider this just one guy. Now, these figures on their own, they're kind of mediocre, but when you put them together, it just makes something awesome, which is something I just love about this. He's big, he's chunky, he doesn't got much kibble. I love the big shoulder pad scoop he's got here. I think that adds a lot to it. This claw is actually supposed to be on one of the cranes, but I only got one of these claws, so I decided to use this port in the chest to plug it in and make a chest crest, which I think elevates this figure so much. And overall, it is just top tier fun. Like some of these other ones, they may be like designed geniusly or like sculpted amazingly, but this wins just by being so fun. Like, it brings that kind of childish desire when you see something really big. When you see a big robot, you're like, oh, that's cool. That kind of brings out that kind of thing. And that's what I really love about this figure, is how big and chunky and awesome it is. It can articulate. It's got like so much details. I think the cranes kind of look like some sort of like extravagant cape sort of thing that isn't like around the back or whatever. Or maybe like big shoulder pads. And I just love this so much. My customizations make it so much cooler than its original mode. But overall, just looking at the base figure, it's still pretty good. I'm gonna transform it right now so that you can see what it looks like normally. And here, even in his base configuration, with none of my customizations added, he is still really cool. He does lose his elbow movement and stuff, but that's what the fan mode is for, is to bring it up a little bit. Anyways, it's still really cool if you want to play with it in its base configuration and you don't want to fan mode it. But in fan mode, it just brings it up so much more compared to this, which is what most people see when they're going to search up Energon Devastator. And this is what I thought I was going to get when I started collecting this team. But when I started getting them, I realized all the fan modes I could do. I saw images of things I could do with it. And now that I have gotten my fan mode, it just increases the enjoyment I get from this.